There's a difference between building a story and taking a picture. That's Magnum, right? It's not about like one good picture. It's about like we're storytellers. That's what we do. In an AI world, fake news. That was the problem. You can be an artist, you can use AI, but then it needs to be clearly said that's AI. So Magnum issued a statement. AI images will not come into Magnum archive. Editorial is really complicated today. It was the main business when Magnum was created. It was really like the magazines would be the biggest clients. Today it's not the case. I mean, we have to rethink editorial. It's a declining market. People think Magnum, think like rich people, a club. Where do you earn money? It's very difficult being a photographer.
So what would be your advice to younger photographers?
Go out. Don't stay in front of your computer. Go out and like shoot, but also meet people. Show your work. It's extremely important. There's no secret.
Hello, Marine. Welcome.
Hello, Véra.
I'm really happy to have this conversation today with you. So this episode will focus more on photography, but the model of Magnum is so unique that I'm sure it can inspire artists that are working with other medium. You're the COO of Magnum, and you will tell us what it means on an everyday basis. But I suggest we can start with the history of Magnum. For many people, a Magnum is a double bottle of champagne, but actually the brand name comes from there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes from here and it means a lot, right? A Magnum of champagne. It means the energy, it means the effervescence, and that's, I think, represents Magnum at the time. So it's created in 1947. At the time, photojournalists would go on reportage and then they would send their work to the magazine, and the magazine could choose like the sequence, the image they would like to publish, and they could also like crop the image as they wished.
So the photographer didn't have any right or power to decide what the
no,
press
exactly.
would publish.
You would just send the work and they would publish as they wish. And Magnum was created to change that. The idea was to protect the copyright. And these photographers, so Henri Cartier-Bresson, Robert Capa, James Seymour, and George Roger created Magnum to change this. They wanted their story to be seen the way they saw it. So they created Magnum. It was really at the heart, and it's still the same. It's a cooperative. It's owned by the photographer. The goal is exactly the same as before. We protect the copyright, we send these images, the magazine can publish it the way the photographers decided to be, and you cannot crop images, and you don't own the images. It stays with the photographers.
It's a cooperative. What does it actually mean?
It means that it's owned by its photographers. So today we have a bit more than 50 members.
50? Okay.
Yes. And we also represent in total around 100, including estates, nominees, and associate. It's a long process to become a Magnum photographer. You are selected by members.
So that was one of my questions.
Exactly. So that's a very specific process. Sometimes photographers come to us and they want to say like, okay, I would love to join Magnum. How do I do? You have to submit your portfolio. And then the membership is going to look at all the work we receive. It's every year, the last week, the third weekend of June, we have our annual meeting. All the photographers will meet together. They will look at the work we receive and they would vote.
Every year you bring new members in.
You don't have to, because you have to get the majority, so more than half to become a nominee. Some years we would get like 4 new nominees and some years we would get 0. For the past 2 years, we've closed the membership. We are in a period where we look at who we are and what we do. So we've decided to close. That doesn't mean forever, but the process is this one. Then if you get more than 50% of the vote, you become a nominee. So at that point, you are a Magnum photographer, but you're not a shareholder yet. 2 years after, you have to submit again your work to become an associate again. There would be a vote. Sometimes you can get an extra year, or then you become directly an associate, or you just like leave the agency. And then 2 years after, you submit again to become a full member. And then you need to get 2/3 of the vote. Why a long process? I think it's also to guarantee that the quality of the work, but a cooperative means also family. and you have to be part of it. So it's also a way to make sure like you fit into the cooperative work and you participate and you add something to the table. So it's about the quality of the work, it's about the vision you bring, and it's also about like being part of this group.
Yeah, and willing to contribute to its
Absolutely.
evolution. So Magnum has a long history. You said it stayed true to its core mission, initiated by the four founders initially. But
We say four founders,
yes,
but actually there were more people at the time. I just want to
okay.
say it because most of the time we always say the four founders, but it was a group where there were a bit more people. And one woman was also there.
Ah, yes, we're going to discuss women in photography too. This is a topic I want to touch on. So the initial mission is still the same, but Magnum is very unique still today. Can you briefly describe the history of Magnum? Probably it evolved. There were so many changes in the world that it probably had to evolve.
Yeah, so when they create, it was really like Kappa was the energy behind this group. He really wanted to cover the full world. So it was bringing like new members in. It was a crazy idea. Photographers' own agency. There were other agencies, and there've been others. I think Magnum is today the last one alive as a cooperative. And I think there's some reasons behind it that we can discuss after. But so they create Magnum, and he wants to bring new voices. And he was looking at the world really like, we need someone in this region, we need someone in this region. They can cover everything and respond to the press very quickly. And sometimes you would have correspondent. So we created like a specific statute. So you're not a shareholder, but you're still distributed by Magnum. So we have like some of photographers sometimes, like you don't know they are Magnum, but they are distributed by Magnum. And that's the reason why Kappa was like, okay, you don't want to be part of the cooperative, but we're going to work together. So it's really press, it's really magazine oriented. But around the 50s, they start to create the first group project together. Generation X. And I think it's important because it's really today what we push and what's Magnum's unique. It's all these voices together working on a thematic. It was around youth. And they create this project. And actually, for the 80s, we would like to push this forward and reply with a contemporary approach.
What does it actually mean, create a project? When photographers decide to create a project together, it means they have a common theme and they will do series of photographies on the same theme.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. And then later on, it becomes what? An exhibition?
Exactly. It's
I
exactly
get it.
this. So they work on it, they travel and they really work together. So they know what you're doing, they know what the peers is doing in this country, and then they work together, they curate, and then they create a project that would become one exhibition, but also could be a touring exhibition and a book. And that's what we've developed over the years after.
It indeed quite embodies what a cooperative can bring, not just being an agency and dealing with assignment portfolio and individual artists, but really making the artists, I'm saying artists, photographers work together. So you said the first project was, what was the theme?
It was youth, Generation X. And it's a beautiful project. And I hope you're going to see it again this year because we are revisiting it with a contemporary approach to it. So responding. So at the time they traveled and there was a questionnaire. They asked young people to answer and it was part of the exhibition. So you could read and it was really like a portrait of society at the time to show the diversity, the difference. And
of youth around the world.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we want to do the same today, this year. Our main thematic is youth.
For the 80th anniversary.
Exactly. We're going to build it this year. We have a new project called Chronicle, a yearly magazine. Last year it was about the US, and this year is about youth. And then also exhibitions. And we have Magnum First, our first exhibition in the cultural world. So this didn't exist at the time. It was not like even like collecting photography in museums. It was not like as today. I mean, like part of all the collection and as you remember, I mean, and you know well, I mean, there was no photography fair and you didn't collect. There was absolutely no market. So they developed this group project. They developed the cultural world. So we have editorial, we have cultural, and we start corporate. They start to work for companies and they do the annual report. because Magnum photographers are located everywhere. And the idea of the annual report is to show what companies doing all over the world. So they would send the Magnum photographers to actually photograph and give the portrait of the company's values, people, or products everywhere. And that's really how corporate starts at Magnum. And then we developed the licensing because we create this amazing archive and we would license image to reply to the demand. So in 2000, we switched from the physical world to the digital world. We have all of our set because at the time we would like, how does it work really when you work for a corporation or when you work for a magazine? The photographers is shooting, they send the negatives, we would get the image and we would send them, but physically to the press. I mean, like there was no internet, there's nothing like related to today. Like I press the button and I send it. So when around 2000 we switched to digital, we put everything in a new database and we keep the physical archive because obviously we cannot digitize everything. It's impossible. Magnum is a very small team. We keep them and it's really on demand. When a magazine comes in and when we don't have it in the database, it's not been digitized before, we would go back to the physical and we would do it. And
how many location it just to understand today? So since the beginning, Magnum has been very international.
yes, it was New York and Paris. And then we had London. And we used to have an office in Tokyo.
Okay, and you have archives in all these places.
So yes, when you're a Magnum photographer, you can work with any of the offices. We are just divided by territories to make it simpler. All the offices do exactly the same, but also you send your archive to your local office depending on where you are.
Yeah.
So then you can have access to your negatives and
Of course.
more easily. We closed the Japan office. I think it was around like 5 or 6 years ago, and we send everything to Europe. Today we have New York, Paris, and London. And the two main hubs for archive are New York and Paris. Our goal is to protect this amazing archive, but make it a living one. So
Sure.
it's really important for us. It's not like a dormant somewhere. It's really like a living archive. We go to, we question, we reuse, we dialogue with, and that's very important for us. So we go digital. I think that's really an important
in
step.
2000.
2000,
Indeed.
and then around like 2010 we go more on the push for the digital world. So before it was assignment and licensing, it was the core of the business, and then we go like online. That's the push for online, like e-commerce. How can we sell something online? It's not just like for visibility, it's also like, so we start to develop, I think as a lot of company did at the time, but Magnum is pushed into this more like digital era, completely new for us.
Is it also the start of entering the art market? If you're not only selling to the press, but like you would sell editions?
We would sell editions. We had a gallery in the Paris office, a physical one. We already had this, but then on selling online was really new for us. And then we create something, I think, called the Square Princess. It was 10 years ago. The Square Princess is a small print. It's edition in time, twice a year. We would allow people to have like a small format at $100. It's really when we make it accessible. So I think that's really a turning point into Magnum. So we enter the art market with collector print. It's really new, but as you know, at the time it was really difficult. I mean, you have Paris Photo, but everywhere else, and I experienced because it was based in Hong Kong, and you would not collect photography. You would not collect photography because it's not like painting, it's not unique, and they would not understand. And that's when edition comes into the market. That's when the certificate of authenticity and this evolve. And today we are in a complete different situation, but it's pretty new, really.
Of course. And what have been the discussions within the cooperative to decide? Because indeed, the market values rare and signed works, and photojournalists are for dissemination of the work. So what were the debates?
I think some were already much more artists, let's say, in their practice. So they would have like different galleries, and they would evolve much quicker into this art world than in the corporate cultural world, actually. I think some of them were born from maybe cultural and gallery, and after they came to commercial business of photography in a sense of like a shooting for someone and not for yourself. And that was really interesting because you still have this pool of photographers. So as we discussed before, like Martin comes.
When did he join Magnum?
95. So it's really a revolution. You have like photojournalists, like really we talk to photographers. It's still about like what's happening into the world. So we're going to conflict zones. We're talking about documentary photographers after this, and then like new voices comes in. Not only just conflict, but also about like what's happening into the world, but could be in front of your home. It could be like the country next door. It's not only about like war and conflict anymore. And Martin played a huge pivotal like role into this change into Magnum. And over the years, also we try to evolve. I mean, like don't forget, it's a cooperative, so it's a group, and not and we're all different. They're all linked by the same
values.
Exactly, and exactly that's what makes Magnum unique. But then different work, different vision, different needs also. And then we try to evolve and continue, and technology helped us also to grow. As I said, we go digital. At some point, even some photographers who didn't want to go digital in terms of camera had to, because I remember someone like Bruce Gilden or Joseph Kudelka telling me, it's too heavy. Don't forget, I mean, Joseph was traveling like the full Mediterranean region. He had to carry his big bag with 10,000 like films into it. At some point, it became too heavy. And then you start to try digital, and it's 1.2 camera. And then
it's a revolution.
It's a revolution.
The work revolution for them.
Even if you don't want. That doesn't mean they don't continue to work with both, but I think that was a switch. So technology has always been something that helped Magnum to question and evolve.
And you mentioned there were agencies that didn't survive, and Magnum is still there. And do you think it's because you're a cooperative, so you're always questioning yourself and what's coming next, that you're still here today?
I think there's many reasons. I mean, most of the agencies were really press oriented.
Press-oriented.
Really responding to the press. It was editorial, really. Magnum developed from 2010 different business structure. So I think 2010 is really the moment where we question ourselves, and it's not only about responding to the demand, but creating one. To use everything we had that was unique, the cultural, the editorial, the gallery, the corporate world, and to create a unique group project where we could use all of these assets into one project. So people would come to us and we would create a new commission that could then become an exhibition, a book, a print, even create products after.
And can you give us an example of maybe one of the latest? Or
one of the latest. Last year we worked with Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot is working a lot around like the sun.
Soler is their DNA. Yeah.
So we discussed with the team, and they said we would like to express like emotion of the sun. So they asked different Magnum photographers to go to different region and give their emotion of the sun into pictures. They created a body of work, each of them, that then became an exhibition and a small portfolio of prints that was touring around the world in different locations. Interesting to Veuve Clicquot. It's a communication campaign for Veuve Clicquot to express their values. And then we invite each time a photographer to talk about the project. So it's really like a 360 where we help them to create from the creative brief till the opening of the exhibition that we did together. And I think most of the time you have an agency who can do the commission, you have one agency who can do the exhibition maybe, but Magnum can do all of it. And I think that's the main difference with the others. It's this capacity of being able to respond in the different format. And also, I think very important, the diversity of the voices in the cooperative. When we do projects and either someone come to us and they know exactly what they want, it could be like I want to work with Christina de Middle, I want to work with Martin Parr, or I want this image for my...
You have a very specific photographer in mind.
Otherwise, they don't. And that's where we really work with them to identify. It could be because of a region. If I work with an NGO and maybe we're going to work around a woman and we know we need this woman to go because of the sensitivity and the problem in the region. So we really work with our partners to build the project together and to identify the photographer, the tool we want to create in the end.
So in 2010, you enter kind of the art market. What's the relationship
It was
of...
a bit before, but I
A
think
bit
like
before.
online, we start to push.
Online.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How do photojournalists perceive the art market in general?
So I was scared, a bit far from it. It was not the priority for everyone. Somewhere, as I said, like naturally close to it already. I remember when I arrived at Magnum, so it was a bit before, it was like 2008. We had an exhibition with Mark Power and his images are made with the chamber. So, you know, you go under the curtain, like they are like really sharpness to the details, big format into the wall. And we were doing already some exhibition at our space. So they were already close to it, like Alexandre. There were few photographers already pushed into that world. So it was natural to them. And the others, we helped to build it with them.
Today, all of them are selling on the art market?
No, not everyone. It's not like you're a Magnum photographer, you have to do everything. It doesn't work like this. I mean, it works like, what do you want to do? We help them as agents. Our role is to help them to develop their work or to bring them work. We do in the two sides, but I mean, you cannot force it. You cannot force a photographer to become like a photojournalist. You cannot force a photographer to do an exhibition. Some are really much more like established into the cultural market. Some are much more established into the corporate world. Some will work better with brands and or will prefer to work with, or some used to be photojournalists and then only. And then today are much more of a commercial. It doesn't mean they're not photojournalists anymore. But it's definitely not the formula like you come into Magnum, okay, this is what you have to do, you have to give me. But we extremely open to push the young generation of Magnum photographer and help them to come into this world if they are not already. That's for sure.
That's a good transition to talk about team of Magnum and your role.
So today I'm Magnum COO, so the Chief Operating Officer. I'm in charge of the full operation globally, developing a strategy with the board and helping the team to make it live.
Well, I'm really a Kappa groupie, so I know the books that you published about his work, but for instance, the Kappa in color, or like when you decide to do a project around the Mexican suitcase, which team is it that start the project?
So books is a bit different. Each photographer can do their own book. Magnum would be at the origin when it's a Magnum book. It's a Magnum group project. So, for example, Magnum or Magnum Italy, or like these kind of books where it's about the collective itself. Otherwise, each photographer would create a project. And Kappa in Color, for example, you have the ICP representing the Kappa estate, and we would obviously work with them, but they can initiate the project. And we would also work with external people would come with the idea. So the publishers are also like force of proposals.
So when an artist decides to publish a book, he works with the editorial team and the archive team. How...
He works with his publisher directly.
Directly, okay.
And then he would come to Magnum and we would help to promote and distribute.
Okay. And so your role is to coordinate all these teams and
Exactly.
works.
It's to, yes. We create a strategy with the board and I translate it to the team and help them to make it live. So it's really a work.
Can you maybe precise who is part of the board and what's the board?
Yeah, of course. So Magnum is a cooperative. So we start with a photographer's own. They really like lead the agency, and they continue to lead it. But I think over the years, with all the different activities, we became a bit maybe bigger in terms of number of photographers, but also of staff and projects. So then you need like to have like a much more organized management team to lead the organization. So in 2000, I think it was around 2010, I think, when we became digital, that we had our first CEO, and Magnum became global. Because before it was one office, one director. There was no global. I mean, obviously you had the photographers and driving all of this part, and you would have a pool of photographers, and you have a vice president. You have one president and then a vice president per office who would represent and then like be attached to New York, London, Paris, and Tokyo, and help to translate the ideas and make the link between the offices. But in terms of management, it was really per office. When the first CEO comes in, we change that and we become global. One budget, one team, all working together towards like a common goal. And then we evolve around it. We create a board. And the board is like in any company, we would have a board. It's photographers only. And in this board, you have one president that would change every 2 to 2 years. It's a photographer president, one VP, so one vice president per office that would help to communicate and be in charge and be the local representative, making sure the communication goes. And then there's me as a COO, and we have a CFO in charge of the finance and HR.
And today, who are the members of the board, the photographers?
So today, it's a new year. It's a transitional year. We're really looking at Magnum on the eve of our 80th anniversary. We have 3 co-presidents.
Wow.
Melanie, Gregory Alpern, and Nusha Tavakolian. We have the other board, still with VPs. We have Fiona Naylor in the London office. She's the estate of Peter Marlowe. We have Alex Maioli, the VP of Paris. And then we have Alessandra Sanguinetti, the VP of New York. We also have Pierre Olave Richer, who represents the estates of Herbert List, who's in charge of representing the estates. It's a very important position because in the past, I think we always represented the estates, but they had maybe less space and less vote into the decisions. It was really the members would vote, but the estate would not. And then today we try to really, because they contribute a lot to the agency, they're extremely important.
We can switch to the topic of women in photography to understand also how you try to represent the diversity of gender in the profession. I was a jury member for the National Assembly Prize for the Political Photography of the Year, and I was really amazed by the few submissions by women. And one photographer that was there told me, but that's just a representation of the profession. I know it. I read the biography of Lindsay Adario. I know how difficult it is for photojournalists to be women. But as Magnum is not only focused on war photography anymore, maybe there is more space for women.
I come into Magnum around 2008, and then there was like few women. They were like, I mean, alive working members. I think there were 2 or 3. That was the situation, and then I saw how Magnum evolved over the past 15 years. It evolved because of the young photographers and the young voices we brought in. It evolved, but also because Magnum wanted to grow, wanted to change. We're not perfect, but because of who we are, we have a mission also to show we are reference into photography, and we cannot just stay, and we cannot question ourselves, and we cannot accept that we have to play a role into it. And since I am in this position, I can tell you that that's a real question, and we really look at it. And again, we've done this amazing exhibition, 12 Magnum women photographers, called Close Enough. And we were so proud to show it, that and to tour it. I think today we have around like 17 Magnum women photographers, 13 active and 4 estates, if I'm not wrong. And it's already better. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but we're conscious and we try to evolve. We want more, but as you say, I mean, we need to push them also to apply.
Obviously, they enter the cooperative when they are already working as photographers. So the problem might be also they are not
Or maybe,
enough.
we have also young voices like Nana Hitman, who came in, and she was really young. I mean, she's still young, but it's really like we need this force, and the cooperative and the collective is really conscious of this. We need to continue to take these voices, otherwise, at some point, we're gonna be like too far, or we're gonna die. And the thing is, like, also Olivia Arthur became the president. And this also changed the vision of Magnum. Now it's not a male president, it's going to be a woman. And then we had Christine at the middle. And that was really important also into the work. And I don't think today you can say that women at Magnum have less of a voice than the men. It's absolutely not true. They're the super strong women who would have their voice and they're respected, at least inside the cooperative. Trust me. I mean, I can assure you that women are really strong.
Often the problem is to leave them a seat at the table. Once they get the seats, then indeed
This we
they
did,
would
and I
speak.
think we did this switch. And you know when it was? It was just after Martin Parr was president.
So
And
he brought that change too.
yeah, I brought that change. And in the board also, there's the diversity, and that's really important. And we've made that change and we know it. And I don't think there's any question, but I completely agree with you. I would love to have more women applying to become Magnum photographers. And that's something we look at. It's
Yeah,
not only about women, it's also,
obviously, but that's the most
of course.
obvious and figure we can talk about.
Yeah.
Talking about the evolutions, I'm obviously wondering how photographers are perceiving the evolution of photography in society. I remember reading an introduction of one of Kappa's books very long time ago, and photographers were questioning their role with the rise of television. Obviously, today, with the rise of social media, Instagram, and AI, do they feel in danger? How does the fact that you're cooperative probably bring them strength and having all these brains around the table thinking about the challenges that they all faces? So, what can you share about the photographers at Magnum thinking about AI and social media?
You're right. Television came in. It was a question. Oh my God! And then there was like, don't forget when the mobile phone came in. Also,
Yeah.
it was a question. I mean, we're dead. Everybody can take pictures, but there's a difference between building a story and taking a picture. And I think that's Magnum, right? It's not about like one good picture. It's about like we're storytellers. That's what we do. I mean, like Magnum photographers tell story. In a AI world, I think same, we were questioning, but questioning into authenticity. It's Magnum essence, it's authenticity. You remember we've been created, we wanted to have a real voice. It's owning the copyright, and AI kills everything. So it was more a trait into the photojournalism world, into the fake news. That was the problem. You can be an artist, you can use AI, but then it needs to be clearly said that's AI. It's a generated image from my work, and you can play. It could be a collage, it could be whatever, but then you say it. For Magnum, it was about truth and authenticity, and in photojournalism, there's no space for it. So Magnum issued a statement that said that AI images would not come into Magnum archive. And that was very clear. And that was, it's on our website. Towel led a movement specifically on that. It's a really important question. We don't want people to trust fake news. But then you know what? People came to us because they wanted the truth. So with the AI, Magnum had a big role to play again, because some brands would do it. Fine, fair enough. But I don't think the magazines can play with it.
Interesting. So actually, instead of weakening the role of photographers, like you
You make
are,
it even more important. Again, you have to differentiate AI with the tools. What can it bring? I saw extremely interesting AI tools for archive management. This technology can be used for digital asset management. I'm extremely interested in looking at it and how this can help us. But on the photography side and the story side, no, it's
no,
not for Magnum.
no, it's not for Magnum, but in in society, yeah, and indeed it might cut some lines of revenues if corporates are starting to use AI to generate images.
They can, but what do they want to show? The brand values, the people. I'm not. You're right. I mean, I'm more scared for some of like maybe job like copywriting, graphic designer. For photography, you're right. It's a question, but I cannot fight if you want a artistic image made with a computer. Okay, that's your story. Today, that's not what we do. We can create amazing installation. We can do things, but Magnum photographers are real storytellers.
As long as it will be said that it's a generated image,
Extremely important.
then this is your claim. This is extremely important that, generally speaking, it is
We
mentioned,
don't.
because then the strength of authenticity and real photography
But
is
you remember when
standing out.
Photoshop came in? It was the same question. It was exactly the same for photojournalism. No, the magazine would ask for the raw, I mean the original file, to make sure like it was authentic, and that's important. We're talking about news. We're talking about authenticity. That's very important. Then in your commercial work, advertising world, that's different. It's something else. It's another story. But then from Magnum and editorial, I think there's no question.
Let's move on. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about how a photographer can live off his work or their work today. Maybe first, can you briefly explain the business model of a cooperative?
So I explain to you the different like department we have,
Yes.
and each of them would drive business. Editorial is really complicated today. It was the main business when Magnum was created. It was really like the magazines would be the biggest clients, but then today it's not the case. I mean, we have to rethink editorial. It's a declining market. Where do you earn money? It's very difficult being a photographer. People think Magnum, think like rich people, a club. No, it's not. I mean, our values are the same. And if a lot of agency closed, I think there's a reason. And I think it's still complicated. And it's complicated because Magnum stays close to the original values of authenticity. We don't work with everyone. We don't put the Magnum brand everywhere. We select projects, and photographers select who they want to work with. It's not like they're obliged to work with everyone. I mean, each individual can decide if they want to take a project or not. The biggest revenue is corporate, commercial activity. I think it's the same everywhere. Brands would pay a higher fee. The way it works is like you would have a fee for the photographers, and they would have the right on the image we produce for them for a number of years. So it's a limited time. They never own the copyright. But it's also a problem today because sometimes we face this problem where the biggest corporation, they don't want to deal with it. They want to own. So they want like full buyout, meaning you take the pictures and you give them everything. That's also a problem.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge. So we've lost some work also for that reason. Yeah, I would say corporate first, definitely. Then we have the special projects. It could be cultural commission. We have the education, let's say all the B2B and the B2C side.
And this is coming through you mainly for the photographers, or photographers are contacted directly and then you're handling the
I would say
rights.
85% is coming from us and 15% would come from them.
So that's really the power of the Magnum brand today to attract
Exactly.
this business.
Yeah. But a lot of people still don't know Magnum really. They still don't know who we are and what we do. Either they know the name because it's a big name, but they think we're still like black and white. And I have nothing against black and white.
I love black and white.
History photojournalist, and that's it. And they think we will never work for a brand. They think they could
Or a
never,
fashion brand. Yes, indeed.
never, and they could never even like license an image from Magnum. We would never say yes. And I think today we really want to show who we are. We want to show that Magnum is open. In the office, you have a gallery space. We organize public events on a monthly basis. It could be a talk with a photographer. It could be a book signing. It could be like a workshop. But it's really about like opening the doors of Magnum. This year, we want to show like who's Magnum today. It's still a cooperative, but it's an open one. Come in, we want to share. It's a dialogue. A cooperative means dialogue. And I think we want to dialogue with the general public, we want to dialogue with other. And I strongly believe in collaboration. That's what makes Magnum unique. And I think the collaboration with outside is also going to be like what allows us to continue 80 other years. I have a very
So you
beautiful project we've launched last year that would maybe sum up everything that we want to do and who we are. So we talked about this archive and the fact that we were physical archive and we became digital. So there was this color archive. This color archive is in Paris since 2000. We go digital. We can't digitize everything, so it goes to storage. And I've heard about it since I came in like 17 years ago. So it's a long thinking about what do we do with this. But Magnum is a very small team, as I said. We can't do everything. So there was never a time where a team of 10 people could concentrate and do this work. So it was just dormant there. And just use when someone would ask, and our editorial person would say, like, oh, I know we have it, because at the time the editor would come in, they would say, like, okay, I would like something on this country or this thematic, and the team would go manually go into the drawers, take the color slides, put them on the table. The editor would check them and go back with the image. And then we had to move office, and then she was like, what do we do with the color slides? And I was like, can I see them again? And I go through the work, and it was so amazing. And I looked at the color code, and I looked at the numbering of Magnum, and that's a unique process. And I was like, we need, as even an educational tool, we need to show that to people. We need to register it, we need to capture it, keep it for history, but also we need to make it accessible. We need to show how it was organized. What's an archive? How do you take care of an archive? We're lucky because we have an amazing partner, Fujifilm, and the MPP, la Médiathèque du Patrimoine et de la Photographie, who is taking care of a good part of Magnum Archive in Saint-Cyr in their storage. And we talked, the three of us, and we're like, let's do a project together. And we've decided to, thanks to Fujifilm equipment, to digitize everything and then to make it accessible. We started with Europe, and then every month we would unveil unseen images of a country from March till December. And where Fuji had some physical event, we would do an exhibition and ask a photographer to reply with a contemporary commission to this archive. So this pushed the project. We recorded everything, and we created small video you have on the Magnum YouTube today that shows you the full process. What's the Magnum archive? How we did this project, and now we want to obviously do a book. So this was really a first immersion into it, and now we want to do the project on the color archive. But it really shows you the importance of this archive, the dialogue we made with it, with the Contemporary Commission, and today they are accessible and you can find them and license them on the database. And trust me, we found amazing work. It was not easy because most of the photographers told me, but wait a second, these are second choice. Because at the time you would come back with your work, you arrive at Magnum, you work with the team and you say, that's my first choice. And then there's the second choice. We call them, the first choice would be the distros. And then the second choice would be like, we select some images in case for licensing on the thematic, but that's not my preferred
first
image.
choice.
And then they were like, but most of them are second choice. Why would you even digitize them? And I was like, we never know. Maybe we're going to find something. And I was like, I don't think so. You should concentrate on the first choice only. It was a risk. It was a bet, but we really found some amazing images. Honestly, for us as the team, it was one of the most beautiful projects. And it was again a 360. The full team worked on it. So archive to make it accessible, our e-commerce video team to record the full process, the partnership team working with Fuji to bring the sponsorship, and then now the editorial team is working to create the book. And the content team made it alive for everyone with the publication on a monthly basis. One of the most beautiful projects. I'm extremely proud of the team and the result.
To better understand the business model, so when you do a project like this, the revenues are split by photographers, or because this is a project made by the team, then it's revenue for Magnum agency to launch other projects?
So the business model of Magnum is like for everything we earn, you would have a photographer's fee, our licensing fee, depending if it's a new commission or a licensing activity, and we would share with the photographer. So they have a percentage of the sales, and Magnum as the other part that would be invested into the team and the agency running.
Do photographers pay a membership fee?
Not until now. I don't think we're going to be billionaires, but I don't think that's the role of Magnum either. That's not
Just
that's
to
not,
better, so you work as an agent, so
yes,
the business model is the one more of an agent or
absolutely.
gallery for
Absolutely.
like painters.
No,
No, got
exactly.
it. And so I know how we mentioned it's difficult to live off photography today, but do you have an idea of the average revenue of a photographer?
It completely depends.
Differ.
It depends. If you can be maybe like an extremely famous photographer in commercial advertising, it depends of the moment in your career. I don't think it's the same when you are a younger photographer and established like for career,
Of
like
course.
let's say Martin Parr, Steve McCurry, and when you're a younger photographer, but that doesn't mean you cannot earn a lot of money, but let's say maybe if you're an editorial photographer, I'm not sure you're going to be rich. I don't think that's what you're going to aim for in life anyway. I don't think that's your goal in life when you're an editorial photographer. Our role is to help them to make sure they can continue to do what they like and what they want and offer them maybe additional activities. This photographer would accept corporate jobs sometimes to be able to fund their personal projects. But I can't tell you like a monthly revenue. It's impossible. It depends on so many factors and job you would do. But it's difficult to make its living
And living
with
of
with
photography.
photography.
Yeah.
Yes.
To close and wrap up the conversation, do you have an advice for young photographers today? And maybe with the rise of AI, we mentioned it, but in this context, in today's world, so what would be your advice to younger photographers?
Go out, because don't stay in front of your computer. I think it's go out in like shoot, but also meet people, show your work. It's extremely important. There's no secret. Show and meet people. As I said, we are storytellers, and tell your story. Tell your story and know how you can talk about your work. I think that's the most difficult for a photographer. And being part of an agency allow you to have people to help you to sell your work, negotiate for you. And that's very difficult for a photographer to do because you are the one taking the pictures, you have the emotional attachment to it. Don't be scared of like people not liking what you do. It's always so difficult when someone tells you it's not good. Do it again. Show to someone else. First, you can't please everyone, but if it's not good, maybe you have to accept it and do it again. And I think it's really about like trying. There's no secret. Don't stay home, go out. If you decide to be a photographer, try. Martin tried so many things. He was not scared. You know, there's rules. Like sometimes when I started at Magnum, they told me like, look, if you want to shoot for Vogue, you can't shoot for everyone. You can't shoot for Grazia. You can't shoot for like, because otherwise you're not going to be considered as a very good like fashion editorial photographer. How Martin did Vogue, Grazia the day after, and I loved it. I know not everybody can be Martin, but just to show you that I think there's rules, but maybe break the rules.
That's my favorite advice for artists. Indeed, in the art world, there are hidden rules,
Exactly.
untold rules. They need to be broken. And the fact that in photography, for instance, question of editions, it
Exactly.
seems there are rules, but doesn't look like.
Who creates the trends? That's
Yes.
the thing, right? I mean, be you. You look at someone I love also is Christina the Middle. She broke the rules of photojournalism too. That's what I love with Magnum. It's like they all have their story, their vision, but you can say it in many different forms and ways, and that makes it so unique in this group. I love it. That's why I do believe we're gonna stay for 80 years. It's not easy. Definitely not easy, but that's why collaboration is key.
Are they saying it honestly to each other that earning money from photography is hard? Because,
Yes.
in the art world, sometimes, you pretend and people say, yeah, yeah, I did so many good sales, blah, blah. How is it internally? Are they really honest and
Yeah.
transparent with each other? It's still complicated.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We're fighting. We're fighting like everyone. I mean, like sometimes, again, like I said, people think we are the Louis Vuitton of photography. I
Yeah,
do believe it in the quality of the work, but in the money side, no. We still need to continue to fight, work for, to say no, to protect this authenticity and ownership, and we're going to continue. We need new voices, we need to evolve, we need more diversity, and that makes us beautiful. But yes, we're very honest about it. It's not easy to be a photographer.
and they are supportive of each other because you mentioned it's a family. So do they support each other in harder times? How?
Yes, I mean, like as in every family, you fight, right? You fight because of different vision, and but they all do believe into Magnum and want Magnum to survive. So they all have this common goal and support it to make it work.
Beautiful. Feels like you're surrounded by a lot of energy to do your work as a
Yes,
COO.
but again, it's not easy. I don't want to. I don't want to say like everything is easy and we all love each other and it's all fine and Magnum's perfect. Not at all. We're conscious of it, but I think that what makes it real. No, it's a real agency. We struggle as everyone. We don't have like funding coming from government or whatsoever as everyone. So we go out with the team to find work for the photographers. We work together. We fight. We have competition. We pitch. We pitch. It's not because you're Magnum that you have a passe droit and everything comes in. Not at all. I think what we have is this force of the collective.
Thank you so much for sharing honestly all these insights from how Magnum works. I will be really excited to look at what's coming for the 80th anniversary of Magnum. And I encourage all the artists that are listening at us, painters and other medium, also to look at how you evolve to get inspiration from how you stay true to your DNA, but you evolve with the time and find other ways to make money when your main source of revenue is declining. That's very inspiring. Thank you, Marine.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you very much. A pleasure to talk to you.
I hope that you liked this episode and that you got concrete insights for your personal journey. Follow us on YouTube or your favorite audio platforms to be updated of my next talks with other art market insiders. Goodbye.